All right, I have this question here. A population of bacteria can be modeled by the function f to the t equals 1,000 times 0.98 to the t power, where t represents the time since the population started decaying. And the function of t represents the population of the remaining bacteria at a time t. What is the rate of decay for this population? Well, first of all, we have to pay attention that we have some information here. We have 0.98, right? And that's represent decay, right? And also they're asking us they're saying like the since the population start decaying, right? That's another sign of decay. And the question is, what is the rate? They're asking us about percentage of decay, right? So clearly, even if you don't have those decaying words here, we can see from 0.98, since we have since we have decay and 0.98 is less than 1, we have 0.98, right? 0.98 is less than 1, so we're talking about decay. Now, decay means 1 minus r equals 0.98. That's 1 minus r equals 0.98. If I have 1 plus r, if I have like 1 plus r, and it's greater than 1, we're going to call it growth. We're going to call it growth, right? But we don't have that one. We have 1 minus r equals 0.98. And that's exactly what I'm going to look for. I'm going to look for the rate 1 minus r equals 0.98. I have to look for percentage. So let's solve for r here. So in order to solve r, we have to delete 1. So we're going to cancel the 1 both sides here. Okay, so we're going to have negative r. So we're going to have negative r equals, now 0.98 minus 1, right? We're going to get negative 0.02, right? I'm looking for r not negative, so I'm going to cancel, so I can just multiply or divide by negative 1. So I can just like multiply, right? I can multiply or divide it by negative 1. It's the same thing, right? And I will have r equals 0.02. Now that's a decimal number. I need to switch it to percentage in order to find the rate. So I'm going to multiply by 100%. Means I will move the decimal point twice to the right, 1, 2, and that will be 2%. So the rate of decay for this population is 2%, and the answer will be number 2 right here. All right, which expression results in a rational number, right? Now we have 4 answers here, and clearly we can see that number 3 will give me like a perfect square. 36 is a perfect square. 225 is a perfect square. We know 36 is the square root of 36 is 6 here, right? And the square root of 225 is 15, right? Now we have a ratio of 6 over 15, which is good enough. You don't even have to simplify because that's good enough. It tells me this is rational. Why? Because 6 is integer. Because rational is ratio of 2 integers, like integer over integer, right? And that's going to be, so 6 is integer. And 15 is integer. And since we have a ratio of integer, so number 3 is going to be the correct answer. We know that 21 is not a perfect square, right? 50 is not a perfect square for here, right? So we're not going to get a definitely like we're gonna get irrational number, and we know the square root of 5 is irrational. We're not gonna get a rational number. So the only answer is gonna be 3, which is will give me like 6 over 5, which is integer over integer. That's good enough to explain this one is the correct answer. The next question here I have simplify right? Parentheses 8x minus 1 times 4x plus 3. Now, well, if you remember this one, we can use FOIL, right? FOIL method here. Hang on one second. It's FOIL, which is first, outer, inner, and last, right? So we can start with this one here, as you can see. We can start with first, like 8x times 4x, right? And outer, 8x times 3. And we have inner, like -1 times 4x and -1 times 3, right? So 8x, right? So 8x times 4x, that will be 32x squared, right? And 8x times 3, that will be 24x. -1 times 4x is -4x. Oh, let me just do the same color there. It's got to be like -4x. And -1 times 3, that would be -3, right? All right, so we're going to combine all those. We're going to combine, so 32x squared. And then since we have the same variable on the same degree, we're going to combine the middle one, 24x. Take away 4x, that will be 20x. And then we have the last one, which is going to be -3, right? And that's going to be the answer. Now, that's exactly the same as C.